very same chapter that says that verse that I just read about the wicked versus the righteous in authority also says that the righteous are bold as a lion, while the wicked flee when no one is pursuing. And so we want to confront the needs of our generation, and those needs are spiritual at core, but they play out in politics. And so we're here tonight asking God for righteous leaders. We don't want to presume ever. We want to pray that God will bless this meeting. Will you join me? Dear God, we commit this time to you. We thank you that you are God and there is none else. And Lord, our nation needs you, and our nation needs you worse than we understand. And we pray for a great returning to you, Lord, in this land. We pray that you would raise up courageous men and women of principle to take positions of authority by your calling and by your placement. So bless our vote. And let tonight be an informing time and an edifying time as we hear from these candidates and decide as you would lead us, Lord, as to what we need to do in our vote and beyond. In Jesus' name, amen. Okay, Kyle Sims is going to lead us in the pledges.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Okay, please take a seat. And Mitchell Smith is going to come on up here. And as he does, I just want to share a very brief word about each of the three sponsors of tonight's event. The Texoma Patriots, first of all. And is Karen here yet? She is making her way over here from another event in Tom Bean. But the Texoma Patriots Tea Party started in August of 2009 with a Kill the Bill march, gathering at the Federal Building in Sherman and marching down to the county courthouse, led by Representative Ralph Hall and Karen, one of the originators of the Texoma Patriots. Our goals, Texoma Patriots, are to educate voters on conservative issues and candidates, to ensure freedom and prosperity for future generations, and to advocate and support citizens and public servants who support our core values, which are limited government, fiscal responsibility, personal responsibility, the rule of law, and national sovereignty. And Karen says that we invite you to join us. Everyone is welcome at our meetings. There's no dues or membership requirements. TexomaPatriots.org is the website, and the next meeting is February 12th. And I can tell you that Karen drove all the way up from Sherman when very few were willing to go to our city council meeting when some things were going down here in Bonham. And so it is kind of a Fannin County, Grayson County partnership. And second of all, we have the Grayson County Conservatives. Mandy, right there, is a group of like-minded conservatives in Grayson County that works to support conservative Republican priorities in Texas. We do this by meeting together locally, meeting with local officials, and holding them accountable to their constituents, as well as working with other conservative groups locally. During the primaries, we work to support conservative Republican candidates in their campaigns, and hence their presence and sponsorship tonight. We hope you will join us on the second Tuesday of each month at 6:30. Our February 13th meeting will be at Green Growler in Denison and will feature a true conservative fighter, Representative Brian Harrison. And then finally, I am with Concerned Christian Citizens, which has just recently formed a chapter in Fannin County. In a time of spiritual and moral darkness, we have come together to advance God's truth into the lies, God's love into the hate, God's salt into the decay, and God's light into the darkness. And just a quick statement about what we are about. We believe it's time to speak up at the gate and in the gap, and those are biblical terms, of our society, publicly, fearlessly, and urgently. When we do not speak up in this way, we leave the places of influence for others of different mind and heart to fill it. That's how we lose our community and our nation. We surrender them and hand them over to the influence of Satan. But when we do stand up, show up, and speak up as Christ's ambassadors always in our words, tone, and deeds, then that gate and that gap becomes a God-touched place where his truth is spoken in his love and where his church is properly functioning as the salt of the earth and the light of the world. And so I believe that we are blessed to have these three groups partnering tonight. Mitchell Smith.
Hello, and thank you all. Thank you, Joe. I'm Mitchell Smith. I am running for County Commissioner of Precinct 1 here in Fannin County. That's my short, quick, and shameless plug. For anybody in here that is running for candidacy in any office right now, we're going to give you all a moment to introduce yourself. So I'd like you all to come to this side here and line up, and we'll have you come through fairly quickly and introduce yourselves. Come on up, Jimmy. Just a quick introduction, who you are, what you're running for, and then pass to the next person.
My name's Jimmy Helms. I am the current constable in Precinct 2. I have been the constable for 8 years. I've lived in Fannin County a total of 19 years. I went to high school in Leonard High School, graduated and left. When I came 2009, I realized I wanted to be here in Fannin County, so I came back. I'm respectfully asking for your vote March 5th. Thank you.
My name is Jessica Arnold, and I am a candidate for the Fannin County Criminal District Attorney's Office. I currently work in the District Attorney's Office and have been endorsed by our current District Attorney, Richard Glazier, who is retiring. And I humbly ask for your vote to be the next Criminal District Attorney. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kyle Shaw. I am a candidate for the 336th District Court. I've been in private practice, practicing primarily criminal defense, but also civil law and family law for the past 25 years. And I would appreciate your vote during the primary. Thank you.
Thank you all for the opportunity to introduce myself. So I'm Troy Wagner, and I'm running for County Commissioner of Precinct 1, and I would actually like to try to get some kind of a balance between all the new growth that's coming in and our farm and ranch communities. Thank you all.
Okay, Geraldine Smith, I'm the Precinct 1 Chair-elect, since I have no opponent. But I really want to get to know everyone over there on the west side of Bonham, all the way up the 78, and let's stay informed and support each other. Thank you.
I'm Jeff Beidel. I'm running for the Precinct 12 telephone precinct chair position. It's currently open.
All right, thank you. And just one more round of applause for everybody that is running for our county positions. Thank you. I'd also like to take a moment and introduce Pastor Larry Horn, that's opened up the church for us here to hold this event. One thing that I do want to make a passionate note for, we hear all the time there's supposed to be a separation of church and state, and there is supposed to be a separation of church and state. They're supposed to keep the state out of our churches, not keep the churches out of our state. And we just want to thank the Lord that he has given Larry the heart to stand up and do something like this event today where we're able to speak and you all get to know everybody.
Well, my name's Larry Horn. We want to welcome you here today, and we're just here to basically celebrate conservative Christian living. We want to see the fact that our country can be reached, and that one more time Christians would stand up and we'd quit being quiet and we'd start standing up for our country. God teaches us in the Word, and I'm through, what we sow, we reap. So Christians, we need to stand up, and we need to start sowing back into our country by prayer, by speaking up, and by voting in trusted leaders. Amen. So I just want to thank you for coming to Solid Rock Church, because I support what you're doing, and I'm here to win back America, right? Amen.
And I do apologize. I'm using a separate mic because I'm at the tail end of a flu bug, and I don't want to give it to anybody else. So just that's why my demeanor is not as nice as normal. I know it ain't that nice anyhow, but so I'd like to take this moment and now introduce Senator Bob Hall.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Wow, this is kind of like a homecoming for those that you remember that this used to be part of our district. And you know, one of the neat things about it was, didn't realize it, but my wife is from Fannin County originally, and she's the one that brought me back to Texas. We were going to retire right there in Destin, Florida at the beach, and I thought that was going to be a great retirement. And she handed me a note one day and said, "This is where I'm going to be in Rockwall, Texas, if you'd care to join me." That's when I learned that female Texans are like monarch butterflies. When grandkids show up, they come back to the roost there. And so I said, "Yes, ma'am." And so that's how we ended up back here. And then when I ran for Senate District 2, Fannin County was a part of that district. And we used to have a really good time up there and recognize a lot of the faces in here. And then you guys left me. Because, see, I'm still in Senate District 2. Y'all are the ones that changed. It wasn't me in there. So, but I'm so glad to see you here tonight. How many precinct chairs do we have? Oh, my goodness. We need a whole lot more than that. I got to tell you, precinct chairs, and Shelley, don't take offense at this, but precinct chairs and school board members are the two most important elected positions we have in the state. Precinct chairs, you guys can be the closest to the people, and you can have the biggest impact on the turnout for the vote and the message getting to people. You have an easier job of getting the message of the right to the right people, so they will show up and vote. And that's what we need more of. So I sure hope we get more people to get involved in it. And I loved what the pastor had with the quoting from the Bible. I've got a couple of my favorite verses. One of them I wrote my very first session in the Bible down there, and it's Ecclesiastes 10:2. The heart of the righteous leans to the right. The heart of the wicked leans to the left. And that's exactly where. So we know we're on God's side, because he tells us later that he's going to put the sheep on his right and the goats on his left. And we do know he even got involved with the free market. What happened that night when he showed up, or that morning, and Peter was coming in? He'd been working at his small business all night long, hadn't caught a fish. And what did Jesus tell him? Peter, lower your net on the right side of the boat. And so, right there. And the pastor's right. There is a separation of church and state. No question about that. Government is to stay out of our church, but we're to have the church in our government. We need to have more righteous people running for office. We won't have some of these problems if we do that. And that's one of the good things you've got with Shelley running for this office. I don't have to worry about her righteousness in office. I don't have to worry about her backbone. I don't have to worry about her groveling to the speaker, hoping to get a chair or vice chair or something like that. She's already, and this is not speculation, she's already demonstrated who she is, where she stands, and believe me, when somebody will stand for what they believe and look at a jail cell as the alternative, they will not waver when they get down to Austin and stand on that floor. Now, I don't need to, and one thing for sure, you understand, if you keep doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results, that is the definition of insanity. So if you want something different to happen, and I don't need to talk to you about what has been happening, you've got a sheet here that gives you a pretty good idea. The election bills that were killed, that we got out of the Senate, many of them, we had several, that would have fixed our election significantly, died in the House. All the good stuff died. We had to spend 4 extra sessions down there because we couldn't get the House to vote for school choice. 5 times. 5 times they voted against school choice. You got to understand, education is extremely important. It is probably the biggest responsibility we adults have, is the education of our children. Absolutely. Education is not about employment for folks or a job or a retirement plan. Education is about educating our children. And the difference between our schools in a state that has 5.5 million students in the school, I guarantee you there is a difference in quality of education that runs the full gamut. We know, we've seen it. Parents need to have control of their kids' education. Getting school choice passed so parents can choose not to put their child in a school where a teacher is going to secretly try to transition them from being a girl to a boy or a boy to a girl, or prepare them for an appointment to see a doctor about an abortion and keep it secret from the teacher. They need to be able to put their child where they want them to go, not be faced with books that would not even have been, that I don't even want to talk about. They're so bad, and I think by now you know about it. We're not going to have to worry about that with Shelley down there. She's told us who she is. She's demonstrated it. She didn't just stand up here and talk about what she's going to do. She has walked the walk. And that's what we need down there. The Senate passes bill after bill after bill. We had bills to lower your property tax even more than what we finally got. We've had to fight the House all the way through to get something that was reasonable. We didn't get all of what we should have gotten, because we can actually get rid of the O&M tax from schools if we'll just set our mind to it, because Texas has a booming economy, it's growing, and we're going to have enough surplus that we could make that happen if we had the people in the House that would support it. Right now, we do not have those. And there is a sea change coming all over this state. And there needs to be, because there were some really horrible things that happened down there, that one vote alone should have been enough reason for anybody in any place to not send their rep back down there for having taken that vote. And that vote was for the impeachment of Ken Paxton that was done with absolutely no evidence at all. Zero. Not little evidence, not just none. And not one witness provided any information under oath, and not one House member ever heard anybody who had any information firsthand before they willfully took that vote. And you know why they did? Because the Speaker wanted them to take that vote. And there's many votes down there taken down there to please the Speaker. And sometimes the rep will go back and change their vote after that so they can come back and tell you they voted the opposite way. Take a look at the record and see what you find there, how many times the record was changed down there. But I can tell you, this is an important, you always hear, most important election ever. Well, you know what? Right now it is. It really is. Because we have been about as bad as you want us to be in the legislature this last session down there. The things that didn't get accomplished, I feel embarrassed for them about it. Because you send us down there, now you don't pay us anything, but that's okay. But you send us down there to do what we said we're going to do. And everyone has run as a conservative. Fiscally responsible, blah, blah, the whole list. You know what it is. And you go down there and you look at their real voting record, their voting record before they change it. See, the House can change their vote after it's done, but it can't change the outcome. But it's what Rep will do so that they can please the Speaker to make sure his bill got passed, or he wanted it passed, or he didn't pass, one way or the other. And then when it's there, many of them will go back and change their vote so they can come back and tell, well, you know, I voted for it or I voted against it, but it, you know, still passed. It's a little trick they play. You're not going to have to worry about that with Shelley, because Shelley knows our Lord Jesus Christ, and he does not tolerate that kind of behavior. And she will hear about it from him if she does. So all I can say is Texas deserves, our future generations deserve for us to have a legislature that you can depend on will do what is right in terms of conservative policies, principles, limited government, fiscal responsibility. We can do more about our border. And I'll be honest with you, not a whole lot more can we do. We're pushing up right against the edge of what we could do. And we worked real hard to get to this point. But I think we're going to be challenged with doing even more, and I think we can do it. We've got an energy crisis coming. We are in trouble right now with electrical energy. We need people that are willing to vote to do what we need to do to attract more thermal energy. Solar and wind is just about to destroy our state. And so we need folks like Shelley that will understand that and be there to support it. And I go down the list all the way, but I can't tell you, this is one candidate I can talk about that my talk does not come from what she has said or what she has told. What I'm saying tonight is what I have seen with my own two eyes, heard with my own two ears, and observed, and I think all of you have too. When she stood up for what she thought was right, when the government had overstepped its bounds and said, I'm not doing this. One of the few in the state that did. That to me is a rock solid indication of what you're going to get when she goes down to Austin to represent you. She knows your values, she knows your principles, and that's what she's going to go down there and do. So with that, Shelley, may God bless you. May God bless you. Thank you for running. Appreciate it very much. And I think we got sit.
Thank you very much. Now I'd like to introduce our Texas Agricultural Commissioner, Sid Miller.
If you'll take out your hymnals, turn to page 439. First, second, and fourth stanza. Well, good evening, Patriots. How are you this evening? Good. Thank y'all for turning out for a great American, a great Texan. We're going to have a great time tonight. I am your State Agriculture Commissioner. I work for every one of you. It's a statewide elected office, and I'm in my third term. Prior to that, I was a lawmaker in the House, just like Shelley's going to be. So, you know, we do a lot of things. I won't go over them all tonight, but you know, I'm responsible for 5 million school meals each day. We're the Consumer Protection Agency for the state. We oversee all the barcode scanners in the state, all the scales. We do marketing for the state. I run the Office of Rural Health Care in 191 rural counties. I'm a busy guy. I really am. I just flew in from 4 days in Washington, D.C. I travel a lot. I'm gone a lot. And normally, I drive myself around in my four-door dually truck. But I have a couple of people with me tonight. I'm going to introduce them. We'll have my executive assistant, Bonnie Cudlip. Stand up, Bonnie. And Robert Beverly's with us tonight. Stand up, Robert. But the other day I had a meeting in Dallas, and that truck doesn't fit in parking garage. So I've got to park out on the street, and so I had to park about 2 blocks away. It's kind of an odd story. I hope you enjoy it. So I'm going to my meeting, and I walk by this place. It's got one of those 8-foot wooden privacy fences around it. And I could hear people on the other side going 13, 13, 13, 13. I thought, well, that's odd. What's going on in there? And I couldn't see in, I didn't have time to look. Had to get to my meeting. So I got to my meeting. Lasted about an hour. So I was leaving. I said, hey, what's that place I walked by with all those people in the backyard chanting 13, 13? They said, oh, that's a home for the mentally challenged. I said, oh, okay. So I have to go back by there, and I walk by there. They're still out there going 13, 13, 13, 13. I just can't stand it. So I'm walking down that fence, and I finally find a knothole about that big. So I take my hat off, and I put my eye up there, and I'm looking in there to see what they're doing, and somebody poked me in the eye. Oh. And then they went 14, 14, 14. I'm going to tell you a true story tonight. That one wasn't. I'm going to take you back into the mid-1800s, into a state house race. But this one wasn't in Texas. It was in up north, Illinois. So there was a young man running for the house. He had these 4 brothers. They were all best friends. And the dad of these 4 brothers was terminally ill. But they worked real hard to get this guy elected, and the dad's wish was to live long enough so he could vote for his son's friend. So sure enough, came election day, he was still alive. They had to carry him down to the courthouse, carry him in the courthouse, and he cast his vote for that young man. Well, that young man won the election by 1 vote. Well, he went on to serve in the House, and at that time, our United States senators were chosen by the legislature, not by the people. We could talk about that a while. That was a pretty good deal. We probably shouldn't have changed it, but anyway. So the House was evenly split, 50-50 between the Republicans and the Democrats. So the Republicans had put up their guy, and they couldn't get him across the line because this state rep that was elected by 1 vote didn't like the guy. He liked the second place guy. And he said, I can't vote for that guy. I just can't. I don't want to say why, but I'm not going to vote for him. I'm going to have to vote with the Democrats. They said, oh, no, don't do that. What can we do? He said, I'd vote for the second place guy if y'all can agree. Okay, we'll put him up. So the United States senator was elected to the United States Senate by 1 vote, cast by the state representative that was elected by 1 vote. Well, this United States senator went on to serve a storied career in the U.S. Senate. There was this one bill that kept coming up, and it was always really, really close. But it never passed. It always failed. Well, it came up again. This was on December 27th, 1845. And the bill came up. The vote was tied. The tiebreaker was the senator who won by 1 vote, by the state rep that won by 1 vote. And this senator cast the deciding vote, and the bill passed. And Texas joined the Union. How about that? So I share that with you because this is an important election, and your vote is extremely, extremely important. This election could be decided by 1 vote. We had a special election a couple of weeks ago. It was decided by 111 votes. So that's how close this election is going to be. Close. I think it's going to be close. I hope not. Hope we run away with it. But it's tough when you're going up against an incumbent and all the powers of an incumbency and the money in the lobby money that's thrown at it. You're kind of fighting uphill. But I want to tell you something. We've got a fighter. right here in Shelley Luther. I know this lady. She's tough. Matter of fact, rather than cross her, I'd rather put pork chop panties on a grizzly bear. I mean, you just, you know, you don't cross her. She's what I would call. I like to tell people, and I did this at the feed store earlier. I said, you know, she will be the kind of state representative that you can turn your back on. And like, what does he mean by that? Well, most of those guys and girls down there, you can't turn your back on them. You got to watch them all the time, and you still can't keep them in line. There's no telling. It's whoever gets to them last. That's how they're going to vote. I call them squishes, and I'll tell you where that comes from. It's like a tomato. If you lean on them hard enough, down they go. Right? They can lean on her, but she won't give in. And I told them over at the feed store also that she's probably one of the worst politicians I've ever met. Yeah. Now, I've got your attention. Let me explain what I'm talking about. See, a politician will do or say whatever's expedient to get elected. They'll just tell you what you want to hear. Then they may go vote however they want to vote. That's what you've got now. Okay? Shelley will do whatever she thinks right, no matter what it costs her. She'll have your back, and she'll cast the right vote, even though it may make the speaker mad, or the lieutenant governor mad, or the governor mad. She's going to do what's right. And when she comes home, she can hold her head high, and she doesn't have to hide from the constituents, and she doesn't have to explain herself. You'll know where she is. So the problem we've got, and normally I don't get involved in races where Republicans are running against Republicans. I've always adhered to the Ronald Reagan 11th commandment, which was don't speak evil about a fellow Republican. I thought about that. I thought, you know, these guys aren't Republicans. What am I doing? I'm not attacking any Republicans. I'm attacking rhinos. So I'm on a rhino hunt, and I'm going to hunt them till extinction. You're welcome to join me. So we've got to win this election. We've got to get this election. She's probably going to be one of the best, if not the best, state representative we have in the House. Okay? She's that strong. I know her. I've watched her. This lady, she's not scared of anything. I mean, she's strong. She'll stand up in adversity, no matter what comes her way. She's faced death and come through that. Most people wouldn't have pulled through that. She stood up to the governor, told him to go jump in the lake. You know, got thrown in jail for it. Still stood her ground. So she doesn't have anything left to prove to me, and she really shouldn't have anything left to prove to you other than she can win this race. She can't win it by herself. She's strong, but she's not that strong. No one is. She's got to have some help. So that's what I'm asking you to do. There's probably, let's see, 60 or 70 people here tonight, right? So if everybody here can go to the polls, we're going to vote. You're all going to go vote, right? Anybody here don't plan to vote? You wouldn't admit it, would you? Not in this crowd. So, but I want you to take 10 people with you. These 70 people can turn into 1,000 votes. Remember, I just said we lost that last election by 111. That'd give us 900 vote cushion if everybody could do that. So go home, family, friends, Sunday school class, golfing buddies. I don't know what else y'all play bridge. I don't know what y'all do up here. Roping buddies, that would be my crew. You know, tell them about Shelley and see if you can get them committed to go vote. And then when it comes time to vote, just stay after them till they buy or die. Make them get to the polls, okay? We got to get them there. We've got to have 50% plus one. Okay? That's all we need. I'd like to have a little cushion if y'all could help us out on that. That would be good. But we want to do that. I just can't express to you that she's going to need your help. Not only to get to the polls and vote, not only to take your friends and family to the polls. This costs money. You know, I've run several races. I know what it cost. Her opponent probably, I didn't look and see how much he'd spent so far, but he'll probably spend $500,000, in excess of $500,000 to keep this seat. He'll try to buy it. You know, 3 things to win a race. You got to outspend them, outthink them, and outwork them. We're probably not going to outspend him, but if we do 2 of the 3, we probably win this race. She will outwork him, and she can outthink him, right, with your help. She can't do all this work by herself, so write her a check. She needs it. It's hard to raise money. The speaker and the lobby cut off all funding out of Austin. Her funding has to come out of this room, out of this community. If you can't write her a big check, buy her a tank of gas. I mean, she's got to, you know, get around. You know, buy her a roll of stamps so she can send out letters and postcards. You know, help her get up on the radio. Buy a few more bumper stickers. Buy a few more yard signs. Take a yard sign tonight. Get that out. Everybody in here can do something to help this campaign, no matter how big or how small. So I want y'all to give a big Texas warm welcome to the next state representative, Shelley Luther.
Oh. Please give another round of applause for Sid Miller and Senator Bob Hall for coming in. They're doing this out of the goodness of their hearts, and I've come to realize that these guys really do believe what they're saying. Like, what I'm telling you and when I speak to you, I truly believe everything that I say. And these guys, I don't pay them to come and say these things. And out of the goodness of their heart, they wanted to come and show and tell you about how they feel about me. And I think that's a big deal. So I'm so grateful for both of y'all. Thank you so much. A little bit about me. I've been married since right when I got out of jail in 2020. And is there anybody that's like, this lady was in jail and not know what I'm talking about? Is there anyone here? Sometimes I go, okay, this guy thinks I'm going to steal his wallet. Just kidding. No, so in 2020, everything was shut down because of COVID. And I closed a hair salon that I owned in Dallas for a month. And then my hairstylist came to me and said, we don't know what to do. We can't feed our kids. What do we do? And I decided I was not going to be the reason why they couldn't make money to feed their kids. So I opened my salon against the shutdown, and I got thrown in jail. The sentence was seven days, but the Texas Supreme Court got me out after 3 days. But that judge actually could have put me in jail for 6 months for doing that, for working. Isn't that weird? But at the time, there were people mad at me because I opened the salon. And so I think that really opened people's eyes. I think a lot of things that happened in this last session has opened a lot more eyes. I've got, with this Attorney General Paxton getting impeached, people are like, wait a second, we just put him in there. Why does this legislature think that they have the right to pull him out of a position that we just put him in? Then you started looking at other things. Well, wait a second, if they're doing that, what else are they doing? If you pick up this sheet of paper, this is not even all of the things that my opponent has done. You can pick this up on the way out. They have it over here. But the first thing is trying to impeach our Attorney General. The other thing Sid mentioned was the school choice bill. Do you understand why that school choice bill is necessary? Are there people that are afraid of that bill? I was a school teacher for 13 years, public school. The problem is in government schools, and there are kids that are living in a specific place. They have to go to a specific school no matter what. It's based on where they live. Well, what if at that school that kid was getting beat up every single day and the parents couldn't afford to move somewhere? What do we do for that kid? Oh, just deal with it, I guess, right? I talked to some superintendents and some school board presidents, and I said, if you're running a good school, why are you afraid that kids can go somewhere else? That'd be like me owning a salon that's filthy, but I don't clean it because I know that the customers will keep coming back. That's not how it works. It gives you the right to choose where you want your kids, your grandkids to go. And the only people that are afraid of school choice are the ones that don't have the self-confidence to make their school the best it could be. Anything that you make in the free market makes it better. If you put something in the free market, the only thing it can do is make it better. Are we afraid to make our schools better? Because if you're against school choice, you're against making the school better for those kids. And I'm telling you, I was a school teacher 13 years. This isn't a hit on teachers. We moved to we pulled our kid out of Frisco ISD and put him right in Tom Bean. It's the best thing we'd ever do. The best thing we do. He's doing so much better because of the treatment that he's getting in Tom Bean. We had to move to do that, though. So school choice is a bill that's going to happen. We need to make sure that we use that bill to make sure that our schools are the best that they can be. Period. Because it is, if you're afraid of it, you better, it's going to pass eventually. Do all of you know that I had a brain aneurysm explode in my brain in April? So my husband and I got home from work, and all of a sudden I felt like my head was going to just explode. It's a feeling that you'll know your life is in danger if you get that. It's not a headache. It's just like this weird, kind of like Fred Flintstone when he like hits his thumb and it goes woo on cartoon. But my head was doing that. And so I got an ambulance when they got there and went to a hospital. They told my husband, her head's full of blood. She's not making it through the night. You can't help her? Nope. We've got to send her somewhere else and we can try to help her. And then I got an ambulance to another hospital that night. Same thing. We can't save her. The blood is everywhere. We'll do our best, but she's not making it through the night. That was in April 5th. So slowly but surely, I started defying the odds. I was moving body parts that I shouldn't have. I was waking up from the coma. They didn't expect that to happen. And then 3.5 weeks later, I'm walking out of this hospital on my own. You know what that is? Thank you. That's God. God wants to use me. Anyway, I mean, you guys, I don't know if you could even believe what we've been through. I've only been married to my husband since September of 2020. Since that time, I just got out of jail. I've ran three campaigns, and I almost tried to die. And he's still with me. I don't even know. Thank you. But what I can gather from all of this, though, and all of the things that we've been through, the first time I really heard God, and when I say that, I don't want you to be like, I didn't hear like a real voice, but you know, like when the timer on your dryer that you're washing clothes, and it goes beep, 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 and you're just still sitting there because you're being lazy, and your head is going, you need to go get that. Get up. You know, that voice in your head, right? I was hearing that voice like it was waking me up from a dead sleep the night before we decided to open the salon against the shutdown. All I could hear in my mind was, open the salon, I will protect you. Open the salon, I will protect you. And from that day, from when we opened the salon till right now, I've never had any fear of anything, nothing. When that judge said, I need you to apologize for going against the government, or I'm going to put you in jail, I could put you in jail for 6 months. And I looked him in the eye and I said, I will not apologize, and I'm not shutting the salon. How many of your representatives that are in office right now would do that? Have the guts to do that? This man would, and I don't know if Bob, yep, there's Bob. Bob would too, right? But how many does your current representative have what it takes to do something like that? We can't just put in people into office. We can't just put them in because they're our friend. That I went to church with his mom. That, oh, you know, we've been buddies since we were, 2 years old. How good, what's good is that doing? Because for 3 different sessions, he has gone to Austin, voted with Democrats, and come back, look you in the face and say, I'm a conservative. And you go, okay, and you put him right in office again. That's happened 3 times. And I ran this same race the last campaign 2 years ago. I ran it. And we knocked 10,000 doors, my husband, I, and my daughter. 10,000 doors. And he still beat me by over 10 points. So what I would challenge you to do is, what are you going to do if you want change? If you want change, do you think you need to do the same thing and vote him in again? I'll tell you, in my mind, we don't have a lot of time to fix this situation. Each election, I keep saying it's going to get worse. I don't know if it could get any worse than this, but it is. And I will tell you, if Texas loses, because right now Texas is losing with this border situation, if Texas goes, the nation goes. I truly believe that. So we absolutely must hold the line. And anybody that wants to interfere with that needs to go. And you have a huge opportunity right now. There are a lot of people that are running against the incumbents. Those grassroots folks need to get in. And we won't have this issue with the speaker being Dade Phelan. But honestly, that race, he's getting his tail handed to him right now. But what if he gets in? Am I going to go in there and vote for him? No. You know what? If I get in, I'm a teacher, right, of 13 years. I want to send a monthly newsletter to let you know everything that my team's been working on and naming the people on there that are getting in the way. Right? Why don't people do that? I remember when I was a teacher, the first week of school, I called every single parent just to say I was proud to be their teacher. Anything you ever need, you reach out to me. I didn't want the first time that I reach out to a parent that it was because their kid was in trouble. I want them to know, hey, I'm right here. We're in this together. Wouldn't that be great if you had a rep that actually sent a newsletter, asked you what your thoughts were, and if you had any ideas that could help us? Right? So I don't understand. Please, someone help me understand that as your rep, I can go to Austin vote however, and come back and tell you I'm a conservative, and you all go, oh, okay, yeah, that sounds good. Because that's what we've been doing in this situation. And let me tell you, when you are in a near-death situation like I was, and God brought me back to life to fight, I'm afraid to go against him. I have very respectful fear of God, I will tell you that. Not just that, my dad was a Marine for 26 years and fought for this country. I cannot go to the Texas legislature, act like a fool down there, because that's what happens, vote however I want, and be able to come back and tell my dad, oh, sorry, it was just too fun down there. I got too much money and too many bribes, so I just did whatever I wanted. What? No, I am so proud that I can go there, I can make the bills, I could send you the letters of exactly what we're doing, and then I will actually face you in times like these, and I will look you dead in the eye and say, I did what I said I was going to do, and I'm proud that I did. I can't even wait. Y'all, it makes me so excited that I'm going to get to go there, hopefully, come back and tell you I did what you wanted me to do. Wouldn't that be a miracle? Because right now there's only about 5 reps in the entire House that actually could say that. 5, maybe. You guys have a great opportunity to get several, 20 or 30 brand new House reps in there, and you're going to see things cooking along. But what's crazy about these push cards that I have, I didn't even have to change. There you go. No, it's okay. Hold that up, though. These are my push cards. They said the same exact thing 4 years ago. I'm going to do the same priorities. I didn't have to change them off of there. You want to know why? Because they haven't done anything. I was in a coma and down, taking speech therapy and physical therapy and all this stuff because I had 7 strokes with that brain aneurysm. And my poor husband, I'm down, I'm sitting, I'm feeling sorry for myself because woe is me, I can't believe this happened to me. I was so sad for months and months. And then I started, you know what, let me just pick up my phone and see what's happening. Oh, there's Reggie again, not doing what he's supposed to do. I go to sleep, I'm praying about it. I wake up and my husband's sitting there and I'm like, you know what, babe? I'm supposed to run in this race and I'm so sorry. Because if y'all know anything about running in politics, the poor husbands and wives in this, because I will tell you, in my first 2 races, the things that they said about me personally, you would never say to another person. I mean, horrific things. I can't wait for it. I mean, there's already been one mailer about me, and I'm like, they're just kind of hidden. Whatever you see or hear, it is not true. And I can't wait to prove to you that I'm a real Republican, and I will do Republican things. And I can look you in the eye and say, I did what I said I was going to do. You want to know why? Because I said that I was going to represent you. The state representative. The one that you have now refused every single event where he could debate or have a forum with me. He refused all 4 in each county. You know what that is? He's a liar, and he's afraid of you, and he's embarrassed for the way that he voted, and he should be. And all I'm asking, thank you. All I'm asking, give me one chance and I will not disappoint you. And I will look you in the face and say I did what I would do, said I would do. And I appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Shelley Luther, everybody. So Shelley and Sid, they had We'll just have these guys answer some questions for everybody now.
Yeah, so if you guys have questions, is that mic set up right there? If you have a question, please come up to one of the mics for any of us.
I just wanted to tell you, I'm Dallas Wright, and I live here in Bonham. I got a text from Reggie Smith that said that he voted against school choice because it would have given illegals vouchers. I replied to that text. I didn't just delete it. I doubt that he'll ever see it or even care. But I said, you could have stripped that out of there and still passed school vouchers. And my daughter's a school teacher. $4,000, actually $10,000, would have gone to her. She teaches over in Paris, Texas. So if you have any doubts, don't vote for that man. Don't let your friends vote for that man. Oh, and one question for Mr. Miller. I'm hearing some alarming things from Bill Gates and the World Economic Forum about coming for our home gardens. Is there a way you can protect Texans from that?
Well, if you've followed the news, you know the largest landowner working farms is Bill Gates now. So we've been following that real close. We've studied it. I've studied it. I've had my staff study it. So far, nothing nefarious. He leases that back to the farmers. They keep farming it. He's not shutting the farming down. I have no idea what his long-range thinking is. So far, it's not a problem. So I think that's a good thing. I don't know why he wants to get all his hands on this farm. It may change tomorrow. Well, that's the whole Biden 30 by 30 thing. They're wanting to reduce world population. If you don't know what 30 by 30 is, that was one of the first executive orders. First week Biden was in office, he put out his 30 by 30 plan. He wants to idle 30% of our productive land by the year 2030, take it out of production. That's phase one. Phase two is 50-50 plan. That's 50% out by the year 2050. It's a global plan. European Parliament has already voted to do that. You may have seen the German farmers revolting recently, the French farmers running in on their capital, the farmers in the Netherlands overthrew their government leader and threw him out. Sri Lanka overthrew their entire government, the farmers did, and put in a new system of government there because they want them to stop using nitrogen fertilizer. They want to get rid of half our livestock. They wanted to nationalize, take away 50% of their land. That pushed them over the edge right there. So it's a real thing. I don't see any of that connected to Bill Gates. I just don't. Not saying something won't change, but I think you can rest easy for tonight. I don't know about tomorrow. Yes, sir. I could look that up. I don't have it all off the top of my head. I will tell you that one of the problems with Reggie and his bunch is they let the Democrats run the House. Okay? The Democrats still run the House, even though we have the majority. 65 Democrats, along with 10 rhinos and a speaker, elect the speaker. So I've been working on a bill, and I know this is a top priority with Shelley and Bob. How many in here would agree with us that it's high time we stop China from buying any more of our farmland? Duh. That's a no-brainer, right? I mean, that just doesn't make any sense. We passed a good bill out of the Senate. Bob and his colleagues, Senator Kolkhorst, Senate, one of the first bills they passed out, if I remember correctly, went to the House, never got a hearing because the Democrats didn't want it to have a hearing. Speaker knows he can't get reelected if he doesn't. We're the only Republican-led legislature in the United States that appoints Democrats as chairmen of important committees. We're doing some stupid stuff down there. It's time to change. That's why I'm here helping Shelley. Yes.
I was going to ask you, do you have any insight on the EID tag system that the Nebraska Cattlemen's Raisers Association and the USDA have come up with that they're trying to imply?
I've been fighting that battle for almost 20 years. I fought it when I was chairman in the House, chairman of Agriculture and Livestock Committee. What they're wanting to do is traceability. They want to make every livestock, cow, horse, sheep, goat, have a RFID, radio frequency identification tag, so it can be traced. And they do this under the guise of health and safety. We've never had an outbreak of mad cow or tuberculosis that we couldn't trace down. Every one of them's been traced. We don't need it. It's just more government control. It's more, Big Brother looking over your shoulder the whole time. I think we're going to lose that battle. I'm kind of charging the hill, no one's behind me, one of those things, an uphill fight. But I've kept it off for 20 years, but it's been a constant fight. And they keep, you know how to eat an elephant? One bite at a time, and that's what they do to us. First, they got dairy cattle, all have to be tagged because of brucellosis. Then roping cattle out of Mexico, rodeo. And then it was all rodeo stock, and then it was something else. Now it's this. Now they're down to all that's left is the basic cattle in the feedlot. Or we got all the dairy cattle. That's half the cattle in the United States. So, yeah, it's a problem. I wish I had a better answer for you. It's coming. You might as well get ready for it because I don't think we're going to win that one.
I wanted to talk about, I know to take the out of, and what I wanted, we can take the out of Texas. Every corporation, any foundation, state funding should not have the and I would like to address Mr. Hall and Shelley what to do about that.
Well, we did. We brought Black Rock to their knees. Matter of fact, they came back to us, and we had a conference earlier this week down in Houston where they came in with their mea culpas and said they were going to change and wanted to get back in our graces because we were going to pull all of the retirement funds from them. We have tried to pass it and get it out. You're asking a question here. It's at the heart of why we are where we are today, because you're talking about a bill to fix morals, to fix individuals' character, because that's the only thing that allows that. We have done that, and what we have found is they just change the name of what the program is. They just change it. But I think you're going to find that program is going to be self-correcting, because if you had listened, Boeing, if you recall, recently had a serious problem with one of their airlines. And the president admitted that quality control suffered because of their DEI program. Okay? I think you're going to find that it sounds good until it's implemented, because capability and knowledge and rest of the character that it takes for someone to do the job that's being talked about, as opposed to just balancing based on race, age, or gender, will kill itself. And so we could pass laws. I can say, yeah, we can, but it's going to be in the nature. It's just change the name of it. We found the universities did that. They didn't change a thing, but change the name of it.
Can we stop state funding?
Well, we don't fund corporations, and I've found other good reasons to stop funding some of our education institutes, but that's going to be almost an impossible thing to do.
Well, I want to say, like here in Fannin County, our state funding.
I'm sure I am sure next session we will be looking into what we can do about the changes that have been made of those that are trying to get into that more. But as far as the schools, that's best handled locally by people showing up at their school board meetings and showing up there to talk about things. For too long, we have let some of these organizations like that just do what they're going to. Think about the turnout you get when you try to, somebody's running for school board. We're lucky to get 6% to show up. And I got to tell you, that's an extremely important elected position, because we get mostly people who are eminently unqualified to do the job running for it. So that's a local issue that you guys can do a better job of solving that part of it.
I also think, too, school choice will help in that situation. You as a parent need to say, I won't put up with it, and pull your kid and the dollars out and put them somewhere else. And so I think we will, with the school choice, will have better control of the schools, not because we specifically are going to do anything to penalize them. You as a parent and grandparents are going to do it. And so we believe in less government is the best, right? But we do want to give you a means of taking care of it. And if people quit those places that have the DEI, like, you guys have got to stand up and do it. We don't want more government to make something happen. We want to pull it away. You guys need to stand up.
Just a quick comment on that. It's the same thing, but related. Just got back from Washington, D.C., and there is a move by the UN to get this globally, DEI, other things. And the 6 largest banks signed on to the UN's net zero banking. So part of that is the DEI, but it's also, net zero carbon emissions. So it's, Citibank, Wells Fargo, Chase, I forgot what the other 3 are, but it would just devastate agriculture. I mean, we run on financing. We can't really make a living on electric tractors. They weigh 5 times what a regular tractor weighs. They compact the soil so tight you couldn't get a plow in the ground. I mean, it's crazy. But so watch out for that. It's another angle. The UN can't get all the governments to do it for them. So now they're going to the private sector and getting the private sector, like the 6 largest banks in the United States, to sign on to they call it net zero banking.
I'm too tall for this thing. There we go. I can pull it out. The previous questioner is totally right about DEI. Funny enough, I run a newspaper out of Fort Worth called the Cowtown Caller, and we just exposed, we're running a 3-part series on how DEI has become a condition of employment in San Antonio, Houston, and we're just about to expose El Paso. It comes out tomorrow. But that is not what my question is, but I encourage all y'all to go read it. You can find us on Google, Cowtown Caller. My question is for Ms. Luther, and I would also like to pose the same question to Senator Hall about the invasion at the border. I think it's the one thing on everyone's mind right now. I wanted to ask you, Ms. Luther and Senator Hall, if you support the legislature declaring invasion, because the governor may have the authority to do it. The legislature certainly has authority to do it. The governor has already gestured in that direction, but as far as I know, Ken Paxton has not reflected the governor's declaration invasion in his legal briefs. That may just be because the governor just declared invasion, but we've yet to see it in Ken Paxton's legal briefs. I wanted to see if either of y'all supported declaring invasion and other tough on immigration policies like mandatory E-Verify.
So I think Commissioner Miller had a good point at the last meeting that we just had. To fix all of that, I think, and what he said is, we just need to make sure Trump gets elected, number one. Like, that's and then secondly, and I believe that it's been an invasion since Trump left, and we should have already, it's a little late to try to be building a wall right now, and with all of them there. And honestly, I agree with Mr. Miller and say the best way that we can fix that problem is to make sure Trump gets in office, period. Nothing is more important than that.
No, I agree. I was very, very quick to speak up and support the governor's declaration of an invasion. and for him to take the stand. I think it was, we should have done it 3 years ago. Absolutely. We could have. I've had a bill every session I've been down there for an interstate compact. It would have allowed us to join in with other states and assume the responsibility or the authority the federal government has. Once we got that approved by the Congress, we could have done that. When we had a Republican Congress, we blew it by not doing it. But I've advocated for that interstate compact. We're now, in effect, almost doing that with the other states that are bringing troops down here. The bill we passed this past session, I think, has had an impact on the number of people coming across. For those of you who don't know it, the bill we passed was we made it illegal, a Class A misdemeanor, to come into Texas from a foreign nation except at a legal point of entry, so that if they come across the river, they have a Class A misdemeanor. They get arrested, they get photographed, they get fingerprinted, they get DNA taken, and they have a background check. And the background check, if it comes out positive, they get sent to wherever they had that, the warrant out for them. If they don't, they're scheduled for trial for the Class A. They have a choice. They can either go to trial, probably found guilty, spend 6 months or a year in jail, and then be deported to Mexico, unable to ever return again. Or they can just return right now, unable to ever re-enter again. So that's what they're facing coming over. And as a result, if you haven't seen the photos lately down there at the park, there's nobody in the park now. And what's really ridiculous about the whole thing, that park is about 2 miles long. And 1.5 miles apart are 2 legal port of entry bridges coming across there that people could have come across on in there. So that made no sense. But I am all for that. And right now, I think us taking the stand, the federal government looks like they have backed off. But I think we're doing the right thing. We need to expand it, and I think that's what the governor's plan is, that we need to do more of that. And then just the threat of arrest and the fingerprinting, the DNA taking, has reduced the number coming across. We've done it in the past, and every time we've done it, we've had like a 35 to 40% drop in people coming across. And so I think we need to keep that up. But the real answer is to get Trump elected, and all he has to do is go back and say, stay in Mexico. Just remain in Mexico and send us your application. That's all that we don't need a bill passed. The Congress needs to do absolutely nothing to make that happen. It could be done tomorrow. Okay.
Good evening. My name is Nathan Peebles. I'm a bivocational pastor here in Fannin County. Bivocational means I have 2 jobs. One is as the pastor of a church, and the other is a correctional officer here at the 2 units that are the state units here in Texas. And I believe what I want to bring up this evening is the border crisis is not the only wall we need to worry about. Working in the prison system now for the last 7 years and seeing the changes that have took place, we have an executive leadership that has allowed numerous escapes, one that ended in the loss of 5 civilian lives, numerous units that are so severely understaffed that other officers have to travel many miles to help staff these units, some of which they have no idea how to work, because we like to say in TDCJ that every unit is like its own little city. And but in amongst that, we have had record job openings within the agency. And my question to Senator Hall and Ms. Luther would be, what can we do to kind of shine the light on the hidden correctional industry that is here in Texas that is unfortunately failing at the moment?
One thing is they're facing the same problem we are in a lot of other places. If you've noticed that People just not working. But there's way too much handouts going on for people as an alternative to working, and that's going to continue to be a problem. It's going to have to be an issue that's taken up specifically. I don't recall anybody coming to the legislature this last session and talking about this being a major an issue. And the thing about it is, one thing we can't do down in the legislature, we can't fix something we don't know about. And so my suggestion is, come talk to us. Come talk to us about what the problems are, because those are the ones we work on. And I kid you, that has to do with all issues. We listen to God gave me 2 ears and 1 mouth for a good reason. I know Shelley used hers the same way, to listen twice as much as to talk. And so I look for people to come tell us about problems, because we can't solve them if we don't know about them.
I just would like to mention that this is also something that I have tried to reach out to Representative Smith about numerous times, to no avail. So,
Yeah, I mean, we obviously would need more details to be able to help you and other people that are in the same position that work at other facilities, so we can try to understand what the real problem is. It probably might be pay, I'm thinking. Usually that's usually the issue. Or if it's just obvious, that's a tough career to have every single day. It takes a special person to do that. It's not for everybody. So I think I'm with Bob in saying, like, we need you and other people that feel the same way to come up and talk to us, but we definitely want to make things better for you if there's something that we can do.
Just a quick comment on that. I served as a legislator for 12 years. In my district, I had 6 prisons. I had 5 women's prisons, including a women's death row and a maximum security men's prison. I had the worst of the worst. The problem with our correctional officers in our prison system is we don't take care of our correctional officers properly. They're drastically underpaid, undertrained. We can't recruit. They're always understaffed. We always have vacancies because we don't pay them enough, and we can't be competitive with other industries. So until that's addressed, and far as I know, it never has been adequately addressed. They may get the 3% raise that all state employees get every 10 years, but that doesn't really cut it. So it's a problem. I'm aware of it. What I would do, at least once a year, and mostly twice a year, I would have an annual dinner, invite all 6 wardens, all 6 assistant wardens, and anybody else that wanted to come, to sit down and unload on me. Tell me what you need. I bet Reggie Smith has never done that, has he? Never done that. He doesn't know how to represent you. Shelley will. You make that promise to him that you'll sit down with him?
I already talked about people in some of we have 4 counties in this district. My campaign manager and I have already talked that we are going to at least be quarterly in every single county, open it up to leaders or people that want to talk. What's different from me and my opponent, I come to things like this. I look at you and say, how can I help you? That's not going on, and it hasn't for 6 years. So the problem has gotten probably a lot worse because people are ignoring you when it could have been nipped in the bud probably earlier. But put me into office, you will have someone that will sit and listen to you. And like Bob said, less talking, more listening.
If I may, you guys hear me? A commissioner's debate that was talking basically exactly what you asked, and it sounds like Grayson and Fannin and like the smaller, more of the rural communities are having the issue with, an abundance of people needing to be in the prisons and not enough space for them, and the funding to build the new buildings. So I think maybe it's county. It's not just one county. I think it's just all over Texas.
Can I say one thing? And this might hit people the wrong way. How can I say this? So I sit down and I talk to sheriffs and I talk to people in the community, and they tell me the same problems year after year, and then they endorse my opponent. I'm not saying all of them, but it's like,
But my only, I wonder if with this huge surplus that we have, maybe some of those dollars can go back to our prison system and the monies that they need to help with this growth.
the one thing is too, I'm not an expert either, so I would need the actual people to come up and teach us exactly what the problem is, because we don't know how to solve everything, but I'm not afraid to ask if I don't know. And so obviously we're responsible for a lot of things that happen in our district, and I would need people that are experts or that actually do this job, so when I do talk to my colleagues, I can say, I talked to so-and-so, this is the problem here, it's the same here, but right now I'm just, you know what I mean? So you're a resourceful individual when it comes to that. All of you have something that you could help us with, I'm sure.
Hi, everybody. Sally, hi. My name's Marshall Bell. Wanted to thank Mr. Hall and Ms. Miller for being here. I came to Grayson because I really wanted to see you guys in the same room at the same time. I had a question about China, but you answered that. I have two questions, really. Can you, anyone on the stage, goes to anybody, I'm not necessarily against or for at this point the vouchers. I have family out in East Texas, in Sulphur Springs. My father-in-law owns a cattle ranch out there. I have all our families out there. They're not sold yet on the voucher. They want to make sure it's not going to hurt their school. I'm not necessarily, like I said, I'm neutral right now because I have not been able to find the information. What specific is there that you can get us to buy in or give us more confidence?
Okay, let me try, because a lot of effort went into looking at what other states were doing and what was successful. And what we found was Florida, that had implemented a program very close to what we are implementing here. And what it's aimed at is the lower income students and the challenge students. And in Florida, these students that were scoring in the 20s, 3 years later, were scoring in the 80s and 90s as a result of it. This program is very narrow, very limited, and you'd almost call it a pilot program. We have 5.5 million students in Texas. The funding for this program would have funded, will have funded 45,000 students. And so this is not a wholesale change of schools where you're going to see classrooms emptied. And for one thing, any school that is performing and the parents are happy and the students are happy with what they're getting and what's happening in the schools, it isn't going to have an effect on them. It won't have an effect on them at all. What it will do is give the opportunity, mainly in the big cities, because most of our rural schools do an outstanding job. And I say that in spite of the fact we have continuously every year increased funding to schools, and in 20 years, our outcomes have not increased at all. They've actually dropped a little bit. But compared to what happens in the inner city, it is a much better job. And so there is a false threat out there that's promulgated by the teachers' unions from other states and organizations that this is going to destroy the schools, going to take away jobs. It's going to make the classroom a better place, because if there's anything we know as a country, it's that the competitive market improves quality and outcome. Just think of all of what we have today came through competition of me inventing something and you figuring out a way to make it better. And all along is what we've gotten. And it's the same way with schools. With that, it's a monopoly that has no competition. And so this adds just a tad of competition to it, but it's not a threat across the board. It's just to where they are not performing.
Okay. I think the family that's out in Sulphur Springs, there's specific questions to me since they knew I was coming tonight. They just want to know how. So how does it not lose money to schools, and how the money sponsors the child?
They're being funded from outside of the school funds. outside of it. And there's no difference with this, and we've had, depending on which version goes, the schools were getting, even if a child left for this, the school would still get the money for that child, which they don't need because they're funded basically on head count on a daily basis. And a child, and what really that I find hard to understand the argument that people don't see is, what is the difference when a child leaves a school because of school choice and goes someplace else, or the family moves to some other place? The impact of the school is exactly the same. The cost to the school is not there because the child is not there. And so whether they move to a different school district or move to another state, the child leaves. So it's a false argument that's put up by people who are just afraid of the unknown.
These are teachers too that I'm
Yeah, because teachers are told they're going to lose their job. They're given this vision of 10, 20 students leaving every classroom and being cut back, and teachers having to teach 2 grades and things. There's just a lot of false information given relative. But think about that. The funding would only cover 45,000 students out of 5.5 million. So that's not a big impact.
Wait, I want to just add something to that. So say a couple kids leave and they go to a different school. What are you not doing in your school that's making those parents want to pull the kids? Number one, you have to have some sort of accountability on yourself. I was a school teacher for 13 years. My class was awesome. My kids couldn't wait to get to my class and learn and do all of these things. And so if the teachers are afraid that kids just want to flee from their classroom, they need to look at them and say, what are you doing to make these parents, why are your kids failing in your class? And I had 35 kids in one classroom for 7 periods a day. And I was just doing the best that I could, but I knew it was good. I asked a school board president, and he said the same thing. They're just going to leave our school. Why? Why do they want to leave? And if your school is good, you're going to get all of those kids coming from other schools.
I like your
Perfect.
free market, analogy. I
Yeah, so what if yours ends up being the one, there's a waiting list to get in yours because it's so awesome. That's how people should look at it. Say, how do we make people think that this is the best school around? And then they'll be flowing. We'll have to build another building. Like, that's how they should think of this, not as a threat. It should only be a threat if you don't think, you don't have confidence in what your school can do.
Thank you for answering that. My last question, I think, is for you. Sorry, I just have a quick one. I think the prerequisite of being a conservative is you don't trust the government. So, with that being said, I don't trust the government with my food quality. All of the lab-grown junk that's in the supermarkets right now, how does Texas fight against that and to make sure that, our ranchers aren't put out of business by a lab that gets put in Dallas?
Okay, just a couple of observations on your other questions. Texas has the largest number of people incarcerated in the free world, just the state. Between 600 and 650,000 people are in Texas prisons. The reason for that is a lot of those people are in there for drug crimes, lower drug crimes. My cowboy logic says, instead of locking them up and spending all that money on them for years, how about we treat their addiction and fix them and send them back to be, productive public citizens? We need to do that. So that's the problem. We lock up everybody, and it drives the cost to the taxpayer through the roof, and that's why we can't, pay our correctional officers or give them training or recruit them, and we don't have enough. We got too many prisoners. We could reduce that by simply treating the addiction. I'm at a little different angle than these two. I'm with them. What they said is absolutely spot on. But when it comes to vouchers, did you go to college? Whereabouts?
Don't hate me. I went to Oklahoma State.
Okay. Well, I know many teachers went to Hardin Simmons, Abilene Christian, any of the church colleges, Baylor, SMU, TCU, and we have a program for those. It's called Tuition Equalization Grants. Right, Bob? Yeah. And what that is, the state will, if you want to go to a non-state school, if you want to go to somewhere besides Tarleton or Tech or A&M, and you want to go to one of these other, we have a grant. We'll help you do that. That's a voucher. We just gave you tax dollars to go to a church school. Come on. We've been doing it for years. No one complains about that. But, I mean, it's just, cowboy logic. What's the big deal? Many people in here may have had a tuition equalization grant so they could go to a Christian college. So, I mean, it's the same thing. We just want to do it younger.
And nobody's making you do it. A lot
No.
of the homeschool families, I don't want to do that. I don't want. Okay.
So your food question, I'm glad you asked it, because one of my largest responsibilities is I'm responsible for feeding 5 million school meals each day. It's a big part of my budget. I'm responsible for marketing Texas products. I just met with, hosted a delegation from Uzbekistan. I had to find out where that place was. I wasn't sure. I sent my people over there, but I didn't go. I didn't have time to go. But we market around the globe. When I took over our lunch program, when I go to the schools, I said, how much local product are you serving? None. I said, why not? We don't know any farmers. We don't have time to go to the farmer's market. It's just easier to order it from Benny, Keith, or Cisco's. It's flash frozen. We thaw it out and put it on that plastic tray. I said, duh. That's why you got healthy trash cans instead of healthy kids. We got to change that. So, first thing I did is I did away with all the mandates that the Texas Department of Agriculture put on our schools. I tore them all up. Matter of fact, thank you. I'm a local control guy. I think those decisions should be made at the local level. And hey, how about parents having a say in what their kids eat? So my first official act as your ag commissioner is I granted amnesty to cupcakes. And I told them, we are no longer going to tell school districts that the mothers can't bring cookies and cupcakes to school. We're going to let you want to do that, that's your decision. You make that decision at the local school board. We're out of that business. So I set up a program, volunteer, remember, no mandates, Farm Fresh Fridays. And I challenge the schools to, at least on Friday, serve something local. And when you do, have Meet the Farmer Friday and have that farmer come in and tell them how that milk got in the carton and what beautiful cows it came from and how that, they have no idea. They think food comes from the grocery store. They have no clue. We send out gardening kits to the younger grades. Let them grow some peppers and tomatoes and stuff, get some dirt under their fingernails, make good eating habits. So I have a big mega. Yeah, we've been doing it now for 9 years. 9 years. They don't have to, remember, it's not mandatory. Yeah, you can go to squaremeals.org or texasagriculture.gov and find out about it. So, just to wrap this up,
Grown chicken.
what?
Chicken.
Yeah. To wrap this up, last year where our schools were serving 0 local products, our public schools served $300 million worth of local products to our children. Yeah, no added salt, no preservatives, no dyes, never flash frozen. Guess what happened to it? They ate it. It's cooked scratch. Lab-grown meat is pretty much run its course. It's not a thing anymore. A lot of companies invested a lot of money into that. Now it's worth about 25 cents on the dollar. It's just not something that caught on. People just not ready for it, still not ready for it. The new thing, though, is that you got to watch out for. This a real thing. Is insect protein. They want us to get rid of half of our livestock for the new Green Deal, and switch our protein from meat, pork, beef, fish, to insect protein. Matter of fact, Tyson Foods and Archer Daniel Midland, ADM, two of the largest food production companies in the United States, each put in $500 million in two different startup companies to manufacture insect protein. That's what's coming next.
We had one last session. Yes. Yes. Yes, it did. We'll be having labeling bill. Labeling is, I think, the minimum we need to do.
This guy, we worked together on a related topic, is mRNA vaccines in your livestock. And I got with Bob, and he drafted. It was late. We kind of found out about this late, right? It was just we didn't have time to. They would have killed it in the house anyway. But we want any meat that has been injected with mRNA vaccines to say it on the label, and at a minimum. So we'll work on that again.
Can I ask Bob Hall something really quick? Can you tell them, can you tell them what Reggie did when you had these election integrity bills and you brought him down because he was the chair of election integrity? And what did he tell you? Do you remember this? He said, you endorsed my opponent.
Yes. Nope. My big bills were in elections, and we had others too. Your Senator Hughes, had some really good bills over there. They all died in his committee. He was chair of elections, and he let me know that my bill was going to die because I'd endorsed his opponent last time. So you see see how confident I am that Shelley is going to win this. So.
I just want to say we're running a little late on time, so I want to make sure that we wrap this up. So we'll take these last two questions.
Sure. Okay. First off, I just want to thank you guys. I wouldn't be here if I didn't believe in you. Thank you. And thank you for what y'all have said and done. And I didn't know much about you, and I'm so sorry, but I have done my homework, and you've stood. And I appreciate what you've done in this state. And we need more courageous people like that. So my question is on the legislative priority that we have every year since our family's been involved for about 8 years. And I think this is why, personally, and I think why we're seeing our nation crumble, is because we're a blood-soaked land, because in our laws we've allowed that some children, some humans may be destroyed. And, I know that in our nation, or in our house with Reggie Smith, our family went to go talk, and they actually cut about hundreds of people by at 3 o'clock, did not let us speak on the bill that was at the committee. I've never heard of such a thing in my life, but that was Mr. Smith on the committee with Stephanie Click, who is going to be leaving as well, the House. I hope so. I mean, I don't know where y'all stand with her, but she needs to go, and quite a few others over there. But I was going to say, the legislative priority has been equal protection for all humans, and not just at a heartbeat. We're talking at the moment of conception. And I believe that once we get that right and we don't negotiate, my question is, how can we get that done in Texas? Because I think if we don't, we're going to see what we saw in slavery days, where God handled it with a war. When the slaves were treated wrongly and it was evil. And anyway, I'm trying to say, I don't want God. I mean, I know you have the fear, the honor of God, and and that's why I support you, Shelley, 1,000%, because of that one thing, and I see that in you, and you stand. But how are we going to do that this time around as a legislative priority to abolish abortion in Texas?
Well, first of all, there's only a few senators and House members that actually look at the legislative priorities. I know that a lot of you spend a lot of time creating those, but most of the lawmakers in the House, I know for sure, Reggie does not read the priorities. He does not read them, does not look at them. But I think that right this year specifically, with the eye-opening that has gone on and a lot of people mad at the incumbents, I think that we will have a huge slew of brand new reps in there that are grassroots. They want to abolish abortion, all of these things that they want to blame on a Democrat or blame they ran out of time. That's going to go away. If there's enough of us that get into the House, the Senate can pass those bills and the House will pass them. I mean, I don't even know what card I'm going to use next time to run because all the stuff will be done. Wouldn't that be weird? I'm serious. And people will be mad that I'm leaving if they do that in Texas. Bye.
This is a question for Commissioner. I'm a dietitian and I worked at the school lunch program in Sherman ISD for just a few weeks. I did not see what you were saying. I did not see a change, towards, natural foods. I didn't see it. It was actually completely the opposite, and I was just, and I started thinking, what if Texas separated itself from the national school lunch program? Like, is it ever possible to do a Texas school lunch program?
The question is it possible to opt out of the USDA school nutrition program? You can opt out tomorrow. No one has to do it. You can do whatever you want. There is no Texas program to replace it. The school would have to either fund that themselves, or the children would have to, pay 100% of it, their meals. Right now, and this is kind of shocking to you, if actually it was lowered to 35% of the schools can sign up, if they can sign up 35% of their children for free or reduced lunch, I have to feed everybody for free. Everybody. Even if their parents make $250,000 a year, they get a free lunch too, which is just not right. I mean, I cringe. I've got to follow the rules. I don't have a choice. So it's pretty lenient. During COVID, nobody paid other than the taxpayer, but no one paid the lunchroom bill. We fed everybody. The order was feed everybody for free. I had to go feed them in your cafeteria one day. The next day I had to figure out how to feed them at home. Still had to feed them. So we came up with the box lunch program where we ended up finally sending a week's worth home with them, and they didn't have to come to school to eat it or pick it up. So.
But it would be nice. It would be really nice to just do not be connected to the government.
You have that option. No school has to participate. Yep.
Let me just bring this all together here. Shelley's not going to win this just because you go vote for her. What's in this room is not enough. We are a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. We are, when we go vote, are the ground rock of our government. And it ain't going to happen unless you make it happen. It's going to take more than what's in this room. A good friend of mine who used to run one of our meetings all the time, she'd always end it by having everybody stand and say, if it is to be, it is up to me. And that is something I would like for you to say to yourself. If it is to be, it is up to me, and I'm going to bring at least 10 people to the polls to vote. That's part of your contribution to making our government work. All of us have a role to play, and I'd like to ask each of you to take that on as part of your role, a commitment that you will find 10 people that you think aren't going to vote, give them a ride with you, offer them a ride, remind them, whatever you do, make an effort to get at least 10 people to go vote, so long as they're going to vote for Shelley. I mean, you got to ask the right question. Okay.
Yeah, don't give Democrats ride to the polls. But please, if you have not gotten one yet, we have signs. I have those pieces of paper that showed my opponent's votes. Take as many as you want to be able to hand them out, push cards. Thank you guys so much.
We want to thank you guys. Everyone, big round of applause for everyone up here. I want to remind everybody that we're not quite done yet. We've got just a couple more things. Pastor Larry's going to close us in prayer. But just before we do that, I just want to make the announcement. In the fellowship hall next to us, many of the candidates that are out here today have their signs and their information set up in there. Come visit with us in the fellowship hall after this, after the pastor closes us in prayer, and get to know each of the candidates in the area. Shelley is a very important race that we all know that we need to get her in this position, but there's also a lot of local races that are super important as well. So get to know the people that are here, get to know the people that are running, and I'd like to turn this over to Pastor Larry.
Can you give our candidates, also our leaders, a good hand clap for y'all for their business tonight? Thanks for all the wonderful information and all the things that they shared for us. Would you just please bow your head with me as we conclude our meeting tonight? Heavenly Father, I just come before you as we conclude with this gathering. We lift up our hearts in gratitude for the privilege of serving you in this great state of Texas. We ask you for your continued guidance and your wisdom to lead us with integrity and compassion. We pray for all the members and candidates of our government, especially those who stand firm for Christian values. Grant them the courage and the strength to uphold righteousness in the face of adversity. Bless them with discernment to make decisions that honor you and benefit all Texans. May your grace and peace be upon them as they navigate the challenges ahead. And God, I just ask these things all in the wonderful name of Jesus. Amen.